Daylen Lile continues his second half breakout for the Washington Nationals, and I'm going to give you a nice little breakdown on just how good he is and how good he can be.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11. And later on in the show today, the third segment, we'll be discussing why this Cubs series is a big one for the Washington Nationals and their young players. We'll have that discussion for you, and you will not want to miss that. And in the second segment, a move that I would make today is Nationals, their brass, the front office, the coaching staff, whoever may have to listen to this, please call up Yohandy Morales. Let's discuss that later on in the show today. But I'm going to tell you why the Nationals have got something good with Daylen Lile. And also, he might even be a little better than what you think. But this episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the United States. You visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchases necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament, and it ends on October 31st, 2025. So Daylen Lile has been the breakout kind of star for the Washington Nationals in the second half. And, it's come at times where James Wood has struggled. It's come with a little bit of Dylan Cruz struggles here and there. But Daylen Lile has been the guy as of recent for the Washington Nationals. And over his last 30 games, he is batting .315 with a .356 OBP, a .454 slug, and an .810 OPS. That slash line right there is very respectable. And also, I think that is a very realistic stat line for him going forward. I think right now, the profile of Daylen Lile, if I were to use kind of some way to describe how good of a player this guy could be, well, I would say that Daylen Lile is a contact hitter. He is obviously someone who is not going to hit 30, 40 home runs in a single season. He's not going to have a .550 slug in his career. He's going to be a contact hitter who does also have some sneaky power at times. And that is exactly what the Nationals need. You've got some power guys in your system. You have got James Wood, who is obviously going to hit 50 home runs at some point in his career. And yes, I'm calling it right now. You've got CJ Abrams, who has some sneaky power, probably a little bit more power than what Daylen Lile has, but also has the potential to be a high average guy, can get on base, and just a little bit of a different profile as far as hitters go. Daylen Lile not only has a little power in him, but he is also a hit for average kind of guy. That contact ability that he has at this point is relatively elite. And if you look at his numbers and kind of the deep dive metrics here, according to Baseball Savant, they're pretty reflective of what could be a very good profile for a very good player down the road. Right now, Daylen Lile, probably the most impressive, two most impressive stats at this point are his chase percentage and his whiff percentage. Right now, Daylen Lile is chasing pitches or not chasing pitches, whichever way you want to look at it, at a really elite rate. Well above average at this point in time. And that is something right then and there that you simply cannot really teach. And a lot of young guys come into baseball and obviously have the same issue. You're going up against Major League pitching for the first time ever. It is a big jump from AAA up into the majors, probably the largest jump that he has seen as far as talent goes. That right then and there can cause a lot of issues for a lot of different young guys. Daylen Lile has made that look pretty easy. He does not get fooled many times out there. He is not chasing balls out of the zone. And when he does, it's just unfortunate situations, whether he's going up against really good pitching or maybe he just got fooled. It happens in Major League Baseball. But then also it's his whiff percentage. He is putting the ball in play at a very elite rate at this point for a very young guy. I have loved what I have seen from Daylen Lile at this point. I don't know if really people are really appreciating what he is doing at this point, probably at the rate that they should. Because again, this is not a James Wood caliber player. This might not even be a CJ Abrams caliber player talking about his ceiling. But right now, this is a very good role player and potentially something even more for the Nationals moving forward. My confidence in Daylen Lile kind of being not a star player, but a really good major leaguer right now is probably at a 7 out of 10, maybe even a 7.5. That's how confident I am. And for someone who is such a good athlete and someone who is so twitchy out there, you would think in your mind that this guy is a really good defender. That's the one thing holding him up at this point. If you look at his B-WAR, I believe he's at a negative 0.7 on the season. I like the WAR stat, but also there's some holes in it, and we're certainly going to poke some holes in it through this first segment here. Number one, the reason why that is, the reason why he has a negative B-WAR right now, it's because of his defense. His defense has to improve. And I think it will improve also. I don't know what Daylen Lile's natural position is, but I can tell you this. This is the eye test. He's not a right fielder. He is not a right fielder. Might be a left fielder. Doesn't really strike me as a center fielder either at this point. We have to figure out what he is defensively. Is he going to be a left fielder where you kind of throw him out there and have him be in that Nick Castellanos role where he's an offensive first guy who might make an occasional play here or there, but his bat needs to be in the lineup, and that's where he's going to live in left field? Maybe. He might be that. But then also on the flip side of it, what if he's a DH? Or what if the Nationals try to move him to first base or do something crazy with it? We don't know at this point in time. But again, the tools line up to be a very good player. And even then, the kind of structure of what he is, someone who's a very good athlete, he is very fast, and it seems to be very twitchy and just kind of has a quick release there when he's trying to go catch a fly ball. There has to be something for him. When he can get that correct, which I think he will eventually, I think we will see a much different player, a much better overall player. Because quite frankly, the defense simply has to improve. I love the profile of his offense, but right now the defense, the tools seem to be there. He doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, but also it needs to come together eventually. So I want to kind of see where he is at, kind of where he fits in the outfield. And if he doesn't fit in the outfield, then where do you put him after that? That's kind of the big question moving forward. Because again, he's a right-handed thrower. Like maybe he can fit well at second base. Maybe he fits well over at first base. We don't know at this point in time. But I can tell you this, the defense is going to have to improve. And by the way, for someone who is in the 89th percentile as far as sprint speed goes, again, this just kind of goes to show you baseball is just a ridiculously hard sport. You would think someone's range would be incredible for someone who is so fast. Again, one of the fastest guys in the game. His range sits in the 6th percentile. Make that make sense at this point. It simply does not. So if I'm the Nationals moving forward this next month, number one, you got to put Daylen Lile in the lineup every single day. That is clear and that is obvious. Number two, figure out where he is. Is he going to be a right fielder? Probably not. Is he going to be your left fielder? Maybe. And if he doesn't work in the outfield, then maybe try him at second base in the offseason. Because right now, actually, his player profile is a young kind of guy here. Kind of reminds me of Luis Garcia Jr. with the old upside. Unfortunately, in my opinion, Luis Garcia Jr. has not really reached that upside up to this point. I think Luis Garcia is a solid player, but if it was up to me, I'd probably move off him after this season. But Daylen Lile, his potential and his ceiling reminds me of Luis Garcia, a contact guy, someone who is not going to strike out a lot, which, by the way, also pretty impressive from his rookie seasons, that Daylen Lile does not strike out. but he reminds me of that same profile as Luis Garcia Jr. And similar with Garcia as well, the Nationals took a few years for him to figure out that, like, hey, this guy's not a shortstop. He's going to be over at second base. And even then, might not be a second baseman. So I do kind of see those similarities there. Again, both of them don't really strike out. One chases a lot, and with Daylen Lile, he does not chase whatsoever. So that's kind of what we are at right now with Daylen Lile. Again, a really impressive second half season for the Nationals. Really good numbers, batting north of 300 with an 810 OPS over his last 30 games. And the season numbers overall are really impressive with the kid having a 722 OPS, batting 270 with a 404 slug with a couple of home runs and 8 stolen bases. The talent is there, but what can the Nationals do with it, and how can they develop that talent even further down the line is what will be my biggest question for the Nationals. So thank you all for making Locked On Nats your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Next, please, Mike DeBartolo, Miguel Cairo, Mark Lerner, whoever is listening, call up Yohandy Morales. I'll have that discussion after this. And yes, I got to tell you about our friends over at Zippix. And need a boost to power through the day without reaching for another cup of coffee or an energy drink? That's where Zippix caffeine toothpicks come in. And instead of the crash you get from sugary drinks, Zippix gives you a clean, convenient burst of caffeine anytime, anywhere. And if you're looking for that nicotine satisfaction, and they've got Zippix nicotine toothpicks as well. And I've used the caffeine toothpicks before big meetings and long drives, or even during late night game watching like last night, and they gave me the extra edge without the jitters. They're pocket size and discreet, so you can take them anywhere you want, and the flavors are legit. I like the peppermint watermelon ice, and also spearmint is a good option. So it's not just energy, it actually also tastes good. So are you ready to try them? Go to zippixtoothpicks.com and use promo code LOCKEDON for 10% off your first order. That's zippixtoothpicks.com, promo code LOCKEDON. Zippix Toothpicks, energy and focus anytime you need it. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And yes, if you haven't done so already, look up Locked On Nationals on Apple, Spotify, and of course the video version as well over on YouTube. Look up Locked On Nationals and hit that subscriber button, please. Let's get into Yohandy Morales. This is the second week in a row I am pleading for the Nationals to call up one of their former top prospects, and still one of their top prospects, Yohandy Morales. Yo-Yo Morales was a second-round pick back in 2023, right behind Dylan Cruz, of which was a super talented draft class. Obviously started with Dylan Cruz there, second overall, but then you get a top 25 talent in that draft in the second round from the University of Miami, with Yohandy Morales dropping to the Nationals in that slot. And what he has done since, well, he has killed the baseball. There have been some inconsistencies at times with the Nationals, but right now, he's probably playing some of his best baseball all season. And I'm tired of waiting. And I want to see him up in the majors. And here's why it makes sense. Over his last 30 games, Yo-Yo Morales has proven that he still has the power in there with a 442 slug. He's got 6 doubles and 5 home runs over his last 30 games. I'm old enough to remember when you and I were clamoring for the long ball. Yo-Yo Morales, who has 60 grade power, who has legit pop in his bat, for whatever reason, could not hit for power. Not hit for power. Let me take a step back here. He could not hit the long ball. And that was kind of driving us nuts. But right now, he is answering that question in a pretty big way. Again, the season numbers overall are not jaw-dropping. Like, again, he is not putting up monster numbers in AAA. And that might go up against what the Nationals kind of believe in with, again, they've always been the type to call up their prospects when they are red hot. But if you look at his last 30 games, he's not bad. In fact, he's a lot better than what he would be considered to be bad at this point. He has a 799 OPS, a 442 slug, which is what I want to see because that is kind of what you're calling him up for, to see that high slug number there, and also batting 267. Here's where the case against him could be. He is striking out in nearly 35% of his at-bats over these past 30 games. That is certainly something that the Nationals and Mike DeBartolo have talked about time and time again. They don't really want to see the strikeouts. That is something that this organization absolutely hates. They have put a ton of work into cutting down strikeouts, and Yohandy Morales right now is striking out at a pretty bad rate. That is something in his game that he can fix. But here's the good news. He can fix that up in the majors with his buddies Dylan Cruz, James Wood, CJ Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, all the other Nationals out there. And even then, there are some bigger questions surrounding Yo-Yo Morales. Like, number one, is he a part of this future? Are the Nationals going to carry on with this move? And are they going to actually give him legit chances? Being at AAA, basically all season at this point, doesn't really do too much for him. And while the Rochester Red Wings, again, they've had some talent over the years. They've had some really good talent. But it's time to move off them. So if the Nationals were to actually make a move, and if they were to actually try to go in there and get Yo-Yo up in the bigs and give him a real shot at being your first baseman of the future, now would be the time. When you have, 24, 25 days left of the season? This should be a move that you should make tomorrow. What is September about for the Nationals? And I ask that kind of rhetorically, obviously. Well, I can answer it also. It's about the youth movement. It is about what we just talked about with Daylen Lile and the opportunities that he is given. It is about what James Wood does in his first full season. It's about what Dylan Cruz does moving forward. It is about the young guys. Right now, Josh Bell over at first base, respectfully, is not part of this future. But I would even move off of Josh Bell at this point. The move that I would make is I would DFA Paul DeYoung like today for Yo-Yo Morales. The Nationals have used their two call-up spots here, and obviously it's Nasim Nunez, who we talked about yesterday. Love Nasim Nunez. He should be up in the Major League squad. And then also was Andrew Alvarez, who looked good in his debut. But also call up one of your other top guys. And by the way, with, again, all due respect to Nasim Nunez and Andrew Alvarez, Yo-Yo probably has the best shot at being a part of this foundation moving forward, if considering those two guys who may or may not be a part of this team moving forward. You have to give him a chance. And we have questions that have to be answered. The number one question is this: what can he provide at first base? The Nationals have not figured out this first base position really since Zimmerman left after 2021. You have had a revolving door of first baseman. You had Josh Bell in 2022, and then you traded him away. You brought in Dominic Smith. That did not work out. You had Joey Meneses there for a little bit. That certainly did not work out. You had Nathaniel Lowe that you traded for this year. It felt like that was going to work out. That did not work out. You DFA'd him last month. Where will the Nationals finally give one of their young first basemen a shot? When will it be our time? And when will it be Yo-Yo's time, more importantly? You have tried all these other pieces, and you have developed Yo-Yo Morales to be a first baseman. When is it time to give him an opportunity? Because again, while he has not been crushing the baseball the way that you would maybe like for him to do, he still has put up solid numbers as of recent. And what is there to say that he's going to struggle up in the majors? That's kind of the point. Brady House struggled when he got called up. Guess what? He might be starting to turn a corner a little bit. Nasim Nunez this past year, he struggled when he got called up. Kind of is turning a corner this season. Guys are going to struggle up in the major leagues, especially for a team that is projected to lose 100 games. It's going to happen. And guess what? Breaking news. This team struggles as a whole. So seeing Yo-Yo Morales, if your excuse is, well, we don't want to see him struggle. The team's already struggling at this point. You might as well call up one of your top guys who might be one of the answers to one of your key positions moving forward. So again, there are a lot of questions that we want answers to surrounding Yo-Yo Morales at this point. I want to see him up with the major league squad. I want to see another right-handed power bat in this lineup. I want to see if this guy can be a future part of this team. And I want to see what it looks like with Yo-Yo Morales, Brady House, James Wood, Luis Garcia, CJ Abrams, all in the same lineup. This is kind of what we have been asking for basically 2 years at this point. And quite frankly, Yo-Yo is ready for the call-up. So if you want to see Yo-Yo Morales, let us know, because you're not the only one, and we all want to see what Yohandy Morales can bring to the table. So thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen. Next, let's talk about this. I love September baseball for watching the young guys play, but also when your team is out of it. You know, there's October postseason baseball, but then there's September postseason baseball. I'll explain, because the Nationals are getting a taste of it today at Wrigley Field. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5 Hour Energy Transfusion delivers a clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. And this weekend, I'm going to be playing maybe 36 holes just because of my 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. Number one, it gives me the energy to play not only 18 holes, but makes me want to play another 18. So that makes it 36 holes. And also, it's a good tasting drink. It's refreshing. It gives me that energy, and also makes the exciting moments even better. So golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. And the grape ginger lime flavor of 5 Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip and visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchases necessary. Excludes the Master tournament. It ends October 31st, 2025. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And how good does this feel? Postseason baseball is back in the nation's capital. I'm just kidding, but kind of. September is a fun month for me. At least through this rebuild, you have to find some fun stuff here. Number one, I like to see the young kids play. I like to see Yo-Yo Morales potentially get called up. I like to see what Dylan Cruz can provide. I like to see what Robert Hassel brings to the table. I like to see all the different young guys and what can they do. But also, when your team is out of it, you have the opportunity to play spoiler. And you have the opportunity to play in some big game environments for teams that are battling for postseason spots, but also teams that are much better than you. Today is that day, and this weekend is exactly that against the Chicago Cubs. The Chicago Cubs are a couple games back from the Milwaukee Brewers. They're going to be a postseason team, but also they're not completely out of the NL Central race with the Brewers. They could easily talk themselves into sweeping this series against the Nationals. It starts today at 2:20 Eastern time. This is going to be a big game environment for these young guys. And this is going to be a playoff atmosphere, a Friday afternoon game at Wrigley Field, and then that carries on all the way through the weekend. This is a big deal for these younger players. Getting in this playoff-like atmosphere, these are reps that you simply cannot take advantage of, and that you simply cannot just kind of look past. Miguel Cairo, please put the young kids in the lineup for a Friday afternoon game at Wrigley Field. This is a big spot for them. Now, I'd be remiss if I did not mention this. Around a year ago today, when the Nationals were in Wrigley Field, we all know what happened. C.J. Abrams had the spotlight on him a little too much with what was allegedly a late night out at a casino. So that is something I did want to mention. C.J. Abrams makes his return to Wrigley Field for the first time since being optioned to AAA last year. And actually, the AAA season was over at that point in time and just went down to rookie ball and went down to the facilities at West Palm Beach and worked on whatever. So had to mention that because, again, kind of funny looking back on it. Wasn't the biggest deal in the world. Obviously not the best of looks for CJ, but I think he's worked past that and he's got a bright future here in DC, hopefully. But right now, again, this is about September baseball. It's kind of a joke, but it's also kind of not. Again, these are big games. And if I'm the Nationals, I would treat them as that. So give these young guys opportunities and we will see what happens. But I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Enjoy the weekend. The Cubs at Wrigley Field. Going to be a fun one. I'll talk to you on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.